Los Angeles, it's Rog for a live Men in Blazers media podcast taping in your city, place where Joan Didion once said, the future always looks good in the Golden Land because no one remembers the past. And by the future, I think Joan was no doubt referring to football. Because you just know Joan Didion, she would have been proper West Ham, am I right? And in the course of the next hour or so, we are going to break down the entire future of football together because both the Copa América, which begins tomorrow, and it's quite rollicking, Birkenstocks wearing cousin, the Euros, which has just completed day 6. Scotland still live! And it's magnificent to talk about it all in this city of LA at this remarkable time. LA, proper football city, am I right? One soaked in footballing memory. I mean, this is where Roberto bloody Baggio, look at him, the divine ponytail. We've all been there. Missed the penalty in a World Cup shootout. And look at that image. Prove to the world that the most transcendent footballers can seem all the greater for appearing human and imperfect. Where Brandy Chastain changed the lives of thousands of football fans and players and leagues around the world by winning with an image of pride and strength, achievement, ecstasy, confidence, and pure, unadulterated triumph. And where the World Cup 1990 US men's team decided to hype themselves up for combat in our nation's first appearance in the World Cup for 40 bloody years, the good old-fashioned way, by dancing shirtless at a footballing sausage party on the beach. By the way, do I need to tell you, that is DJ Jeff and DJ Eric Vaughan, and the accompanying video, if you're listening along at home, for reasons known only to the players themselves and their mullets bouncing around quite erotically topless, and they decided to, I crap you not, invite O.J. Simpson for this video, which was shot on Coffin Beach in Malibu. I won't be serious, and I know my wife's listening to this at home. I would like this song to be playing when my coffin is one day lowered into the cold, hard ground. Just America. All I ask, Los Angeles, is that we channel that spirit tonight with the Copa América about to begin, the Euros roaring already. So I want to start this day with a toast to you, my first Michelob Ultra of the day. To this incredible moment in time when the Copa América returns to our shores, bringing some of the greatest footballers in the world to our stadia. Messi. A lot of Ronaldo fans in here tonight. Vinny Jr. It's Joe Scally's son. And Mr. Tim Ream. Before our fans, they'll be in our memory banks, all of these players from FC to Shining Sea. This tournament itself, it is a major moment in American football history because it's also the first proud cry that will be resounded into a true roar 722 days from today, but who's counting? The Men's World Cup 2026 kicks off. And we'll finish the job that the 1994 World Cup started. Tony Meola, we're standing on your shoulders in making America a true football-loving nation. The future is now. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, the flight attendants have given their safety speech. We buckled our seatbelts. We're about to take off, America, because for the next 2 years, this is just going to be one long Bills Mafia-style pre-game tailgate. So let's savor every bloody second, okay? With that, let me introduce my co-host for tonight, a gent who I love so much for so many reasons, a man with so much testosterone, they named Beards after one of his characters. You know him as the brains behind and star of Ted Lasso. I know him as one of the OG football fanatics in this nation, a bloke who thinks about football, is moved by football, has in many ways had his life shaped by the game that we love. So please give a Bellingham of a welcome and be upstanding for my friend, American fan, Netherlands fan, force of good fan. It's Mr. Brendan Hunt. Brenny.
Roger!
We are in your city of Los Angeles.
That's very thoughtful of you, thank you.
On Cooper Eve. Not a creature stirring, not even Chuck Blazer's cats.
Nice.
Can you put into words how you doing, how you feeling at this momentous moment?
A lot of anxiety, a lot of excitement. You know, that familiar sort of like, oh gosh, you know, there's probably only bad things will happen, but anything could happen. And then I sleep better.
We are all poised between that. I mean, so many of us have lived for this moment in the United States. It is happening. My mum always says, something similar to you, she says the best bit of a holiday, a vacation, is the anticipation before you begin. She's like, well, nothing's gone wrong yet, which is possibly the most English way to approach anything good. But everything feels possible. I mean, Brenny, the World Cup's coming back, so is the Copa. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But first, there is that other tournament that the USA is going to win. It's called the Euros.
It's coming home.
It's coming home. It is coming home. By the way, I think America stand about as good a chance of winning it as England, if we're being honest. But I do want to say it's incredible, the reports, that 27% of the tickets, more than any other nation for the Euros, have been bought by American fans, which means we win even when we're not playing these days. I love that Europeans are like, oh, the Americans, they love it. And I'm like, yeah, American ticket resellers love it. I love it. We are 6 days into the Euros. The Euros are bangers, Brenny. The Euros of all-out attacking football. The Euros of good vibes, of goals, goals, goals. I mean, we know Europe's a fractious place right now. Politically, war in Ukraine, crucial elections, a lot of unsettling everybody. There's been such a joy, a relief about the whole tournament, about the whole thing, really, Brendan.
It's football doing what it's made to do, you know, bringing everybody together and like focusing on a thing that just takes your mind away from stuff for just a little while, and shocks you and amazes you, and allows you to yell at some just horrible decisions, which we'll get to. But you know. Gosh, I want to talk about so much of it, but I'm not sure which of it we're getting to later or not. But like,
when you say it's the thing that brings us together, allows us to forget about the darkness, you're talking about the food bans. Is that what you're saying? I mean, before the Italy-Albania game,
this is the best shit talk I've ever seen ever. This is great.
Is it really?
Great. Yeah.
I mean, I grew up like before international games. You would be finding your opponent, and you would want to fight them. You'd want to feel a taste of your own blood in your mouth. You were defending the nation's honor.
Or you would say terrible, terrible things about perhaps the negative history of a certain other country that you might be playing, perhaps to the tune of a nursery rhyme. Really horrible, horrible things. But now we're civilized, Raj, at least in Albania.
I've got to say, the old comedy scene in Tirana. You thought the one in Amsterdam was
Chuckle Hut
fun.
Tirana
Yeah.
is, I mean, oof. You've never been heckled, though, like you've been heckled in Tirana. Anywho, what happened, Raj?
Let's have a look.
Facing Italian fans.
That's... The cinematography of that shot
It's great.
was like Scorsese just happened to be walking past with his camera.
And only like a week earlier on some Instagram, you know, like there's a bunch of these Instagrams now that are all like upsetting my Italian grandfather, where, you know, just a regular American person's like, I'm gonna make you some spaghetti, get the spaghetti, the thing, and oh, what are you doing? Like, I didn't know that was a crime, but they know.
I mean, that face there is sadder than it was when Italy didn't make the World Cup.
Cut to, Albania scores the fastest goal in European Championship history. Coincidence? No.
I've got to say, all you can do with football to elevate the game, it's not data analysis, it's not training, it's just gluten bans. But it didn't stop there. It started. Kielbasa's better than Gouda. Poland versus Netherlands. By the way, I'm not sure you can legally compare a cheese with a meat, Benny.
All's fair in love and football, Raj.
I mean, Austria versus France. Schnitzel is better than baguettes. And to prove it, they ended up tearing up a baguette in front of absolute deranged French fans. This is a Euros of food wars. And I've got to tell you, I am starting to worry already, Brenny. Are we Americans a proper footballing nation unless we can do the good food taunts?
Yeah, we'll get it going, you know. Funnel cake is better than Caprinas. We got this.
You think Bojangles is better than Chavito when we play Uruguay? And by the way, do we really believe that? That's what I'm asking. Do we really believe that?
But it's not the belief, Roger. It's the mind games. It's the mind games. It's the game within the game.
It's the inner game. Oh, as the saying goes, first they came for our Bojangles, and I said nothing because I wasn't a bow round. But in all seriousness, I mean, this is the joy of this tournament. Again, I'm old enough to remember when England qualified for for World Cup 1990, and because the fans were so humanly terrifying, they purposely placed them in Sardinia, a tiny island, so they couldn't wreak violence on the greater mainland. So to see this, no one punching anyone in the face, just in the baguettes. You know, just like culinary disrespect. I mean, it's just stunning. It's like we are witnessing human joy on a continental scale. You know, watching Ukraine sing the national anthem before a game is humanly transcendent. Also, when the Dutch fans, the Orange, the Netherlands showed up at the tournament. Oh, these are your boys. Look at them. They showed up and they showed out.
Look how far back they go.
We've got depth of focus. You'll never sing that. I mean, by the way, the thing that amazes me about this is they must all know the same tailor, which I've got huge respect for. But Brendan, I know how much of your wardrobe happens to be that particular Pantone shade.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know these people. You've lived amongst them. You are, to me, you are quasi-Dutch. And I say that with respect.
It's one of the nicest things anyone's ever said to me.
Quasi.
Thank you.
Quasi. What is the spirit of the Dutch fan? Because you understand, it's where you learn to love football. What makes them so bloody singularly wonderful?
Yeah, so for those who don't know, I lived in Amsterdam for about 5 years, and that's where I discovered football. And they were hosting the Euro 2000 tournament shortly after I arrived, which made it even more concentrated. It was a very good Dutch team, the team of Bergkamp and Kluivert and Overmars and various de Boers. I mean, it's, Amsterdam is being pretty funky, but overall, it's a fairly staid country still, just, kind of progressive in its thinking. But when the football comes on, they all go all in. It is festive. It is not just wearing orange, but fucking costumes, like stuff they've been working on for a long time, or stuff that's been at the bottom of a laundry hamper that they never got to for a long time. And it doesn't matter. Everyone is of equal status and joy, but they also know not to take it too seriously. Like the patriotic joy of it never crosses over into jingoism. And I think part of that is like, how can you be mad at things if everyone around you is wearing fucking orange? Like, it's inherently, atmospherically disarming. So Euro 2000, again, that incredible Dutch team, and this is back when Holland used to specifically lose on penalty kicks. And they had lost in the 98 semifinals on penalty kicks to Brazil. And then in 2000, they're the home team, playing Italy, at home. They get a penalty in the first half, miss. Okay, fine. Penalty again in the second half. And now Italy has a red card. Miss. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Now we're going at a time. Here we go. Our extra time. Nothing. All right, 0-0 at the end of a semifinal against Italy. That always goes great. And but now they just got to hit some penalty kicks. I think they missed 3 penalty kicks in this shootout. It was the most depressing way of losing I had ever even conceived before. And I'm at this party with my 8 Dutch roommates who have built bleachers in the living room for the tournament. Like, they chopped the wood themselves. They measured it with lasers. Like, they did the fucking load management of the weight of it to make sure that we didn't have so many people that the whole construct would fall into the Indonesian restaurant downstairs. This was like something they'd been looking forward to for so long, and it went away like that. And it was really depressing for like 1 minute, and then I mean, it wasn't that actual song because it didn't exist at the time, but like it was all back to party right away. Like, and had something that bad had happened in Chicago, where like we would just go out and murder people, you know, and like cops would be fine with it. Like, oh yeah, that was a tough one for the Bears, right? Carry on. So the Dutch football fan is the type of fan we should all aspire to, of complete commitment, but also complete ability to compartmentalize and get on with your life after it goes badly, which it most of the time will. Have fun.
So just to recap, very serious people, repressed. Orange just brings out the crazy in them, the joy, the lightheartedness, the wonder. It's genuinely the exact opposite of being an Everton fan, which is always hard for me to fathom. But I do want to talk about the football in the Euros. But I think the headline is, I don't know about you, but it's been a strange phenomenon to try and tune into one of the greatest international football tournaments in the world, to find out that the game that you want to watch has been subcontracted to Fubo.
Fubo.
Yeah.
Fubo. But if you want to wear FUBU while you watch Fubo,
by the way,
you're really living.
It would be easier to find if they had subcontracted it to Fubu, a defunct clothing label, of which I do own a couple of garments still. But the broadcasters who are meant to be showing it prefer to show us the delights. And by the way, I've become quite hooked on it. I want to be clear, of bass fishing instead. Bass fishing, Brenny, it's why we watched. Can you do 5-minute bits on Ray Hanselman? Well, Ray Hanselman may be the number 8 this US team has been crying out for. Oh my God, we could do a whole bit on this, but the tournament.
I mean, pretty impressive for a guy who only weighs 19 pounds.
And 11 ounces.
He had a long night preparing to make weight this morning. Ooh, do not go past Ray's trailer. It does not smell good in there. But God, he can fish.
Winning is 99% about dedication, if we're being honest. But to the football itself, let's start with England. We're through the first match day, so I think we're safe to make sweeping, knee-jerk overreaction pronouncements about how the rest of the tournament will unfurl without worry, concern, or hesitation. England fans, which to be clear, I'm not. I am fully on board with the United States of America team. I love the US more than Kenny Powers loves the US. But England fans, and I occasionally do use the word we, it's just old habit, forever torn between the surging sense of invincibility and utter self-destruction. And that opening game, the 1-0 win over Serbia, from the tone of the English media, you'd think this is actually one of the greatest British escapes since Dunkirk. But I want to focus on the positive with you, Brenny. Jude Bellingham was England's everything, the creator, the finisher. Look at him, the finisher, the life force. I mean, this guy is just 20. He's 20 bloody years of age. For all of his accomplishments, trophies, abilities to effortlessly speak foreign languages, ability to make that England jersey, which I do believe is made of chainmail. He makes it feel like it's a breathable fabric. Brenny, perhaps his greatest life achievement so far is to have 0 haters, which is very, very hard in England.
Jude Bellingham is of such a very unique construct in football, but particularly in English football. It was Birmingham City that he came up with first, who then retired his jersey, which never happens.
Age 16.
Age 16. Gets his jersey retired. They don't do that there. That's our thing. They retired his jersey, which is a shame because now no one gets to wear it. 20 anymore? I don't know, whatever. Not an important number.
22.
22. Thank you. I'm glad you actually knew that. Goes to Dortmund, and then now he's at Real Madrid. At Real Madrid, he has a historical season, scores in game winner after game winner in extra time, going on, scores in both Clásicos, wins the league, wins the Champions League. And because of this, and because of Harry Kane now being at Bayern Munich, this is why I actually do think England's going to win this time, Raj. They're going to actually win for fucking finally, as long as it's been taking. Because you have your man Jude here, who has not, outside of his wonderful Birmingham City experience, who has not had to grow up in that strange cocoon that you all have of declinism multiplied by a press that uniquely builds everyone up and then puts fruit on their heads. In strange cartoons on front pages, or a turnip, I guess, going back to the old days. He's just not part of that. He's not grown up in this fucking weird construct that you have over there. He's risen above it.
Don't take away our self-hatred.
I'm not doing it. He's doing it. Be careful. He's an enemy sent to take away your self-hatred.
There'll be nothing left of us if you take away our self-hatred. There's a couple of American owners that I've spoken to at Premier League clubs who are always like, why don't the fans love us? And I'm always like, look, they hate themselves. They're never going to love you. Whereas I think it's a very liberating way to go through life. But England, the nation still feels, despite these human beings, and I love that you've got this Harry Kane thing and Belly, you're almost like those guys have freed themselves from the tyranny of failure. And that gives you hope. But the nation does feel oddly despair-tinged. Manager Gareth Southgate in his 4th campaign with England. Are you booing Gareth Southgate in Los Angeles, California? It's amazing. This is the moment America became a proper football nation. Let me say this again. Gareth Southgate. Oh my God, this feels so good. I feel like the Daily Mail in human form. I could just let's mock that one. He's so cautious, so risk-averse. Even with all these new, young, bold footballers at his disposal, he doesn't seem to know how to piece them together into a collective smiting fist. No doubt England need one more player to step up alongside Jude Bellingham. And possibly the oddest part of that first game was watching Phil Foden. Oh, look at him. Stockport Pinocchio. A man who was carved in a woodshed by Pep Guardiola, breathing life into him, saying, you are now my Mancunian son. I mean, 27 goals in a Manchester City shirt last season, but just 4 goals in 35 caps for Gareth Southgate. England has a long tradition of brilliant creative forces that are like, oh, you're a bit good. We don't want to get the best out of you. Paul Scholes, Matt Letizia, Glenn Hoddle. If you're listening at home, just Google them all. Brenny, what do you think is going through poor Phil Foden's mind as he trots around in an England shirt, being like, oh, God, this game's really hard?
Well, that's why I think there's still hope for Foden, and I say this with love and respect and in a non-insulting way at all, but I don't think much is going through his mind at all. I think, you know, I will not attempt the really bad Mancunian accent I probably would do later when we're drunker. But I think it's like, oh, it's over. We're back. What is that, like Midlands? It's not Mancunian at all.
I didn't know that was an English accent. I was trying to work out what part of Iowa you're from.
He's got that savant thing where like this is you know, eventually it'll just happen because he's not going to stress himself out about it. He's incapable of stress unless we're talking about the exact borders of his haircut. That stresses him out. Beyond that, nothing.
I'm trying not to make a Landon Donovan joke in this moment.
National treasure. Goddamn national treasure.
By the way, you should finish your point on Landon Donovan.
So the little picture going around where Landon Donovan the other day, sitting with Ian Dark, standing on the pitch side, you know, commentating the game, turns this way, and there's this like triangle of baldness in his head that makes no sense. Like even if he was in a band, it wouldn't make any sense at all.
I actually thought, to be candid, Landon Donovan had become a chassid.
A little ringletty down here.
He looked like Benicio del Toro in Snatch.
Except with like just stuff missing, and you know the internet catches fire. And then today, Mike McGee, former teammate, posts a text exchange he had with Landon from the time that Landon, check your phone now. And Landon's like, what happened? Oh no, what happened, dude? And Landon says, I just got a hair transplant like a week ago, and they told me it was going to be fine. And Mike McGee goes, essentially, you fucking idiot. Who told you that? Rafa Marquez? And
but a great line.
A great line. Inside baseball, but a great line.
I know, but Mike McGee definitely did comedy improv in Toronto. That's top level. And
Mike McGee says, hey, can I post this? And Landon Donovan, to his credit, says, yes, I deserve it. Landon Donovan just taking the hit. God bless you. He's more of a hero than ever, frankly.
Can I just say, may we all take moments of challenge like Landon Donovan took that moment of challenge. It is absolutely bloody world class, and I really admired it.
Like the picture is so bad, Raj didn't put it in the show because he's worried about insulting Landon. That's how bad it is, well, and yet it came out well.
As someone who's not yet bald, I didn't want to mock someone who was. But huge love to Landon for making light of something that could have been deeply painful in every regard. And woof, don't get a hair transplant at 7-Eleven again. But back to England. The biggest task ahead of Southgate, I do believe, this was sent to us by GFOP at one Benjamin Landry. He said, Gareth needs to determine just how many underwear models in midfield is one too many. Jude Bellingham, now rep by Skims. Trent Alexander-Arnold, Liverpool's cerebral long-range playmaker, is Calvin Klein tighty whities. And I just want to say to you, Benjamin Landry, Jordan Pickford also has an underpants deal. Of a type, he's paid by Big Commando Lobby to promote free balling. Can we take that photo down? There's children here. Yay! I want to give you something. That was just like an incredible moment. That was genuinely, I'm going to get you a scholarship at Tirana's Comedy Club. Work on that. Godspeed. I'm going to see you afterwards, and you are going to get something amazing because you are world class. France, future mass man Mbappe. Your other team, the Netherlands, these are big teams that have laboured in this tournament. Let's talk about the Netherlands quickly. 2-1 win over Poland. But they made hard work of it, coming from behind, needed an 83rd minute winner from former Manchester United, number 10, silky playmaker, 6'6", Bobo, Wout Weghorst. By the way, with his first touch, in that photo, he looks so like a Dutch Cameron from from Ferris Bueller. It's like shocking. I know you have kept in touch with your friends back in Amsterdam, Brendan. I know you talk to them all the time as they probably plummeted into the Indonesian restaurant below the bleachers that they poorly constructed.
No one survived.
But Orange, what are the expectations for this team? What kind of vintage Netherlands do they expect this tournament?
Expectations are low, and the main reason being, like, it used to be, not that long ago, the problem with Holland was that at every attacking position they had a world-class talent, they had no defenders. Now they have the best defense in the world, and unfortunately attack is still led by Memphis Depay. Here's the thing about Memphis Depay. I don't know if you remember the 2014 World Cup, but Robin van Persie was in his pump, and in the Australia game, there was almost like a passing of the torch where Van Persie scored, and then Depay, this youngster from PSV, scored this brilliant long-range goal. I'm like, oh, who's he going to be? He's going to be the next attacker of the future, like in the litany that goes from Cruyff to Van Basten to Snyder and on and on. And Memphis Depay is still there. It is 10 years later, and he has not passed the torch to anyone because he doesn't pass. He's been with a lot of big teams. Big teams keep signing him, and he puts up some numbers, but he does not particularly have any impact on any trophy winning anywhere. And he's like a kind of specific Dutch, like early season 2 Jamie Tart, who just never had the lessons to grow out of it. And just when you think to yourself, all right, I can get behind Memphis. Come on, Memphis, this is gonna be the one where you turn it on. Here's the headband that he wore in that first game. It says in the back, who cares? In English. He wants the world to know that, like, whatever, soccer. Not that big a thing. It'll be done soon. So for so long as Memphis Depay is leading the attack, I do not think Holland will be capable of winning. But unfortunately, Wout Weghorst is not really the guy either.
Can I tell you, when I saw this first, it was so shocking. Who cares for a guy that's taken the field for a nation? I actually thought it was the World Health Organization cares. And I was like, oh. I was like, Memphis got such a big heart. Respect to you. I know. Oh, mate, doing stuff, using your platform for the world of good. But no, then I remembered my favorite Memphis Depay story. That he rolled into that quite doom spell at Manchester United. He arrived in Manchester with a tattoo on his lip that read "successful" in Dutch. Successful.
Oh, that's right.
I think like 3 goals in like 472 games later, and it was time for laser surgery.
There's that great English documentary about generations earlier. A bunch of his family were eaten by cannibals. It's called "Who Ate All the Pies." Who ate all the pies? English joke. That's an English football joke. English football joke. I have a worse soccer joke. I thought of it the other day. My loud friend from Boston here already knows it. Don't give away the punchline, Chip. But who's the favorite soccer player of Red Sox fans? Neymar! Hey, young man, I'm sorry you had to see that. It's not our best work.
I'm now stressed out because we are doing this show in the presence of comedy genius. It's genuinely, it's like hanging out with like Freddie Adu back in the day.
No, like when we were excited about Freddie Adu. Hold on.
Well, that was a compliment. By the way, I will say about Freddie Adu, it's still going to happen. So we need it to happen. But we're going to get to the Copa in a moment. There have been so many other magical moments in this tournament. Glorious goals scored by so many goal scorers. By the way, of small teams. That's the joy of this tournament for me. Watching Eastern European teams unafraid to fight fire with fire against the supposed big boys. But the biggest wonder for me, Brendan, honestly, in all seriousness, is the atmosphere. Because you compare these Euros, which have been kinetic, joyous, quite magical to witness from afar with, let's say, the last World Cup, where the Qataris actually rented Lebanese fans to act as Qatar fans because they knew the atmosphere would be that sterile and dead and slightly Salt Bay-esque and very, very corporate. These Euros overall, the thing that fills me with most joy, by the way, the terrible games that you're like, oh my God, Georgia against Watenia, And they're like, oh my God, that was like your nipples are tingling after 20 minutes. And you're like, referee, do not blow the whistle for full time. That would be a war crime. This is a kinetic craziness. It feels like fans have got the tickets for this. I mean, that's the joy of this. It feels less corporate, no empty seats at all. I mean, the Euro spectacle has been so very human and deeply just, I mean, to watch the Euros has been to feel alive when we've all needed it.
Yeah, we usually historically had the 2-year cycle of these 2 awesome tournaments with awesome atmospheres, but obviously Qatar threw that off both environmentally and, in the calendar. Before that, the last Euros were the festival of football that was all over the entire continent. Before that was Russia, which is, of course, complicated. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I've got nothing to say. I was in Russia. That was very complicated.
And so now we're back to like what these things are supposed to be, in a location where every country can get there, fill all the seats, don't make it corporate, and that is why it's just been banger after banger after banger, no matter how small the team participating.
Can we just raise our beers to football, which can make European democracy feel like it's not crumbling, even though it is? May football always give us the illusion of happiness and security. By the way, I mentioned small teams taking out big teams. Big love to Slovakia, the Falcons. The size of Minnesota, that nation, population-wise, taking out Belgium. I do want to say, poor bloody Romelu Lukaku. I could honestly talk about him, and I'd love to do a one-man show about Romelu Lukaku off-Broadway. I love that man so much, so much. I mean, he now seems to be, he's an incredibly sensitive, beautiful, deeply intelligent. He almost feels things too much, and he's now cursed like Job, or like, he's living out Groundhog Day at Sisyphus levels of frustration with the world watching, and I ache for him, and I hope that changes. But the FIFA ranking, Slovakia, the biggest ever European Championship upset, which begs the question, if they can do it, why can't the United States? We can, which is what we call a pivot. Because we are going to dive into American football. Are you ready to cope it up with me, Brenny?
Yes, let's do it. I can cope with Copa.
Let's do the best Copa since Cabana, because tomorrow begins our inevitable march to glory. Am I right? Are you all feeling it? Are you all deluded? Are you all building bleachers in your homes above the Indonesian restaurants? By the way, people are nodding. Yes, of course we have. So proper football nations do. I mean, tomorrow is the first day that the United States will be forever known as the best team in South America. It's like when Qatar comes and plays in the Gold Cup, and I'm like, what? Let's delve into all what is to come. Let's bring up another friend, the pride of Las Vegas, a gent who now resides in the city of Los Angeles, a gent no stranger to the Copa América. He made his debut for the red, white, and blue in this very competition in 2007. I think the US lost all 3 games and finished bottom in the group. But we learn from history in this country. You know him from ESPN, where he's broadcasting the quite fantastic Football Americas on ESPN+, almost on the nightly, throughout this tournament. You also know him from his show Vamos on the Men in Blazers Media Network. I love this human being. He, to me, is the most articulate broadcaster pundit in the United States, and we're blessed to have him. Please be upstanding for my mate. It's Mr. Hercules Gomez.
Hercules! Hey, all right.
Herc. Oh, God, it's good to see you. I'm not a mate. Cheers, beautiful human being.
Cheers.
Health and
Good to be with
happiness.
you guys.
Cheers,
A lot of
cheers.
fun. Look at this beautiful crowd.
I am not.
Warn you now, it's a pretty good crowd, but they don't like puns when they're really bad.
Neymar.
No, if you pronounce the R, that ruins it. Oh, forget it. It never had a chance. Oh, thanks, Raj, for being the only person in the room laughing at that joke. I really, really enjoy that.
Also
You've missed nothing, Hercules. You've missed nothing.
It sounds like it.
The only person in the room we didn't get it, but I loved it. I am not a doctor, Herc, but I can detect you got a nasty case of Copa fever, and you got it bad. Am I right?
Copa bad. I mean, I was in Venezuela for the Copa America there. Actually, ended up playing with the U.S. Men's National in that Copa America, where I debuted with the U.S. Men's National. So Copa America is very near and dear to my heart.
I know. Tell us how you did, Herc, in that Copa America with the United States team.
Personally or collectively? Because both were bad.
I mean, there's no iron team. So let's talk about you and not how America
But there
did.
is a me in Gomez, so.
That's a good point.
The pun train is back on the station.
I see you've been talking to my wife. She's out there somewhere.
How did the team do in that?
I believe we ended up tying one game. It was a 2007. So here's the story. We ended up playing this Copa America. It was like a reinforced U23 team. The A team was too busy beating Mexico and Chicago in 2007, and that, what was it, 2-0, I believe, or 2-1. Benny Faulhaber screamer in the Gold Cup final.
Respect to Benny Faulhaber.
And then we flew out the next day, and we represented the Copa America.
Again, I'm going to ask a question to my client. How did it go for the United States?
It didn't go too well. It didn't go too well, but I had a lot of fun.
There you go. So that's what we have in store for us. At least fun. That's the worst outcome, America. But I want to talk about the Copa America. For those of you listening at home who don't know, it's historically South America's answer to the Euros. It's actually South America's answer to the Eurovision Song Contest. It's a continental tournament for footballing supremacy. So I know you're already asking, why is America holding it? And the answer is, the organizers, CONMEBOL, South America's Footballing Association, they love piles of cash. And this tournament is a bit like being the +1 where you know nobody, but you're happy because it's just an open bar. So here we are. Tomorrow it starts. 16 teams, 32 games, 24 days. Favorites, defending champions Argentina. Colombia have not lost in 23 games. And Brazil, because Brazil. I want to talk about the United States and some of the big storylines in just one moment, but big picture for both of you. These are incredible days. They really are for all of us who love this game and its growth in this nation. Gents, what big picture, moment, storytelling, anything are you most looking forward to in the couple of weeks to come?
I mean, for me, it's just the measuring stick nature for the American team. As we are so fond of saying, we've had not enough big results in a very long time, and this is a big chance. It's our last chance because we have no qualifying the next 2 years. We're going to have a bunch of really fun friendlies, I bet, in great and wonderful exotic locations. But this are going to be the last real games for the next 2 years, and if we can get results here, then that is the kind of springboard that hopefully will get the attention of more of the nation going forward the next 2 years, and not just the nerds like us who are already paying attention no matter what. We need everybody on board for the next 2 years, and some serious wins here, not necessarily winning the whole tournament even, would go a long way toward that.
The fans. I mean, the fans. Think about this for a second. The most successful World Cup in the history of World Cups is still the 1994 World Cup here in the United States.
By the way, even though there are more teams in it now, it's still the tournament with the most fans coming to watch it. I'm not sure many of them knew what they were watching. It's like a circus. It's like, oh, that's cool. But
Take that, Alexi Lalas.
But
But it really is the fans. Think about this. I was in Russia, I was in Qatar, and when you see Brazil, when you see Peru, when you see the U.S. men's national team fans, when you see Mexico fans, they come out, they're collective, they're fun, they're vibrant. This is a dry run for the World Cup. I'm most excited about seeing, especially after seeing the Euros. I mean, I'm watching Turkey, Georgia, and this seems like the most spectacular time on earth. In the stands, forget about the field, in the stands. I'm excited to see the people.
God, I hope Georgia qualify for the World Cup in America. I'm going to do everything in my goddamn power to make it happen. Am I right?
Oh, and then they play in Atlanta? Oh, yes. The singularity will come to us.
No, they're going to play in Athens. It's going to be unbelievable. Go Bulldogs! By the way, that is exactly how to make football go over the top in America, is to have international teams match up exactly to SEC football teams. Pity the bastard country that's named Auburn, is all I'm going to say. But let's talk about the United States before I get myself into geopolitical trouble. And also because these are the glasses through which we view the world. These are heady days for football in this nation. Soccer, the sport of the future, as it has been since 1972. That's what we always joke with on our show. And that future feels more and more like today. It really does. That's what's exciting to me, to be candid. 40 years in that World Cup wilderness, this nation, this great nation. The quarterfinal run under Bruce Arena, everyone's favorite Bronx Brawn lacrosse coach. Yeah, I'm going to stop here for one quick second because I'm with a man who knows Bruce Arena really, really well. I'm with Brenny Hunt, and I'd love hearing his Bruce Arena story. So just bear with me for 1 second, because look at those pursed lips.
You know
Whenever
Bruce?
I see them, it either looks like he's just been lactose intolerant, or he's just lived out Brendan Hunt's Bruce Arena story.
So it's 2001. I'm living in Amsterdam, and I have a friend named John O'Brien who plays for Ajax, and he is on the U.S. team. It's the build-up to the World Cup, and there's a friendly in Rostock, like the most Eastern Europe, East Germany stadium in all of Germany. The U.S. plays Germany, gets killed 4-2. John's injured. It's a real shit show regardless. But for some reason, there's like nothing to do in Rostock except this one casino. So I go to this casino, and I'm standing next to, at the blackjack table, I walk up. There's Bruce Arena. And like, oh, Bruce Arena, I'm like, coach of the national team. This is very intimidating. I don't know what to do. I'm very nervous. Oh, gosh, So I put down for the, I think it was like a €2 maximum buy-in because it's Rostock. And it's blackjack. I'm not great at it. And I'm like, hit. And, I get a 7 and I bust. And Bruce Arena goes, oy vey, he took my 7. And like, I've only heard Bruce Arena as Snagglepuss ever since. And it wasn't just a one-off. Like later on too, like I had some other shitty card and he goes, oy vey, oy vey. And I had no idea a human being could be so Hanna-Barbera at the same time. I love you, Bruce Arena.
By the way, whenever I see a photo of him, when I see that right now, genuinely, those lips, like that pursed, it's like he's back in Rostock thinking about that 7 that forever screwed him out of €5 and a free drinks token. Bruce Arena, don't forget, we've got to be careful. Let's not talk about him anymore because he is still America's most successful manager to this day. Please God, that will change very, very soon. That was a weird noise. I don't know what. Believe America. But, I mean, there was Herc's days on the national team. Copa America glory. 1 draw.
All right. 1 draw.
Yeah.
I said U23 team.
I know. By the way, you were still...
And Casey Keller, who was 40.
It was 57. Well, we said under 20. It was under 23-ish. Casey Keller, did he turn up with like this weird sideburn? And you're like, what's going on, Casey? He's
Take
like,
that, Landon.
For the present day, the US men have just for the first time in history started an entire 11, all of whom play in the top 5 leagues in Europe, which is amazing. And Brendan and I were trying to think about when they looked at each other in the locker room before the game, what they all said to each other.
Wow, can you believe it, guys? The 11 of us, we play in top 5 leagues in Europe. Let's go kick Colombia's ass.
We got this.
Hey, did you guys watch the scouting videos? No, we play in the top 5 leagues in Europe. We don't need that shit. Let's fucking murder those guys. Have you guys seen Narcos? We got this.
No, they probably thought they were playing Columbia, Maryland. Yeah, we scouted those Columbia, Maryland motherfuckers. Sorry. We got, hey guys, look amongst yourselves. How many of us play in the MLS? 0. Let's go and kick some ass. I mean, the honest truth is, though, we have never been in this position before with so many elite players on this roster, so much depth, so much talent, so many individual wonders. And we are just 2 friendly games of base kind of control data that we can wildly overreact to. So let's do it for a quick second, because Columbia, Maryland absolutely humiliated us. 5-1, a beatdown. A game I honestly wish that they had broadcast only on Fubu. Oh, bass fishing. We're good at that, aren't we? But then a fan base was up in arms, all seemed lost, and we only went and beat Brazil 1-1. In a game that was intense, audacious, filled with pragmatic football, in which our Lord and Savior, Christian Pulisic, in the 26th minute decided to do this. Come on, baby! Puli, puli, puli!
Sick, sick, sick!
Sick, sick, sick! Yeah, get on it, would you? Ian Dark, or whoever's commentating on these games. By the way, can you imagine if Ian Dark did sick, sick, sick? And then we have a John Strong, sick, sick, sick! Messi! First question first, for both of you, as we charge towards Sunday night's opening game against Bolivia. Which one's the real United States? The limp one who sank without trace against Colombia, or the gritty, pragmatic collective who went toe-to-toe with Brazil? And how do we know?
Yeah, I think we're somewhere in between, right? I don't really think they were that pragmatic versus Brazil. They defended in a pragmatic way, but they played through Brazil. They did not respect the Brazilian midfield. This was like the 2-0 in Cincinnati. This was like the Morocco win that they had before the World Cup. They played very well when they had the ball. They just defended a little better. Listen, Matt Turner was spectacular on the night, but none of those saves were down glove side. They were coming out being big. There were half chances for Brazil. And the Colombia game, while it was ugly, it was one of those where it's a 3-1 loss. Yeah, they got dominated, but it's only 3-1. It kind of got away from them at the end. You see uncharacteristic mistakes. Matt Turner can get down on one. Anthony Robinson slides. The ball falls to the Colombian player. You know, Tim Ring giving it up for a corner kick. Can't win the second header. Cameron Carter-Vickers mistake. Timothy Weah dribbling out of the back. These are not mistakes that they usually make. So let's throw that one out the window. I think it's more leaning towards the Brazil game, if I'm being honest.
I agree. Like the mistakes in that Colombia game were just absurd. I mean, It felt to me like if I won like a contest through Frito-Lay, and I got to play 11 positions in a U.S. game against Colombia.
Why would Frito-Lay give you that opportunity?
Because they want the publicity, man.
Oh, okay.
And they want people to buy their chips, their delicious, salty chips.
Oh, by the way, to weave them into every answer in the most bizarre way in public on shows that are going to go out across this nation. But back to Frito-Lay commercial already in progress.
Suffice to say, it was amateurish, and it was like there's just no way. There's no way that's who we are. Like that was comical. So I think that you're exactly right too. With like those 2 goals at the end make it seem even worse than it was. But that was not a real performance.
And by the way, Greg's genius is to say, guys, get your mistakes out early in one game. All of them.
It was 2-1 the 76th minute, so it was one of those games that kind of just, I can't think of another game, I don't know if you guys can, where the U.S. has had that many mistakes and the scoreline's been that lopsided.
The 2007 Copa America. Are we going back there? We're not going back there. We're not going back there. Let's talk about nice things. Let's talk about Christian Pulisic. Look at him, the LeBron James of soccer. By the way, undoubtedly, or everything, in every real way. I mean, off his best season of all time, a kid who broke through as a teen, became the most expensive American footballer of all time when he joined Chelsea for $73 million. Last season, a career year, 15 goals, 10 assists, all competitions. But the reality is, if we're going to go deep into this tournament, and this is ultimately what we all gathered here today to discuss, right? We need another player other than Christian to step up. So who do you both think is going to be key? Brenny first. If the United States is going to go and do what we would like them to do, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
I will go with central defender Chris Richards. East Mamba, as you
Guys, can we hear Christian Richards is listening to this show, so let's do this again, shall we? Say it again.
Chris Richards! And defending's his job, but he did score the winning goal in the Nations League final just a few months ago. Was it Nations League or Gold Cup? I get them confused. I think it was Nations League.
I think you just said the Asian League, and I'm like nodding. I'm like, get in, America.
For Grampus 8. Anywho, Chris Richards is just so damn good, and he's only getting better. And he was so missed in the World Cup when he just couldn't quite get back from injury in time. Plays for Crystal Palace now, but he went through for as much of an academy as Bayern might have, like he learned his trade at Bayern, and him and Tim Ream together are formidable. But Chris is going to cover a lot more of the field. If you've seen the highlights of him in that Man U game where he chased down both Antony and Marcus Rashford in like nearby plays from each other, he can play defensive midfield. But yeah, if he can remain stout, that's going to be a big contribution.
Matt Turner. If the U.S. are going to go on and do something special in this tournament, that's right, Matt Turner.
Sorry, that was half-assed as well. I've got to tell you, Matt Turner's a sensitive human being. Matt Turner's a great goalkeeper. Matt Turner is the heart of a poet. So do it again, Herc.
Number 1, Matt Turner.
Yeah!
Woo! I mean, the U.S. has great goalkeepers. That's in the DNA. That's in the heart and soul of who this team is. Throughout its history, it's great goalkeepers. Matt Turner's not the exception. I mean, we're talking about a guy who's 29 years old and has had his share of ups and downs. But when it comes to the U.S. men's national team, it's been more ups than downs. He's played 41 games, 24 shutouts. That is insane. And stellar versus Brazil, if they are to do something in this tournament, whether it's group play versus Uruguay, the next round, whether it's Colombia or Brazil, it's going to be on Matt Turner's back. He's going to be a busy boy. He's got to be the guy this tournament.
I've got to tell you, the thing I love most about this human being is if you look at his career arc from the very beginning, it's been filled with failure, overcoming failure, soaring, making his dreams come true. That human being is tenacity personified, and I admire him greatly for it. I really, really do, in a way that transcends football.
He also has beautiful blue eyes like a frozen pond. You get lost in them.
And also a singing voice that honestly looks like angels have descended from the heavens, and just like little birds have dropped onto his shoulder and are singing zippity-doo-dah, zippity-day, and they're dressing him as he's singing the national anthem. When I Am Buried, and it's the 1990 World Cup theme tune that is sung as I sink into the ground, I'd like Matt Turner to be singing it topless on the beach, please. I don't ask for much in life. But the player for me that's key is my friend, Mr. Tyler Adams.
Yeah! Weapons are falls!
Wappingers Falls. Every time I drive past there, I take a photo of it and send it to him, just to show him that I know it's Wappingers Falls, like two possessives.
I always thought the Megan Thee Stallion song was about Wappinger Falls. Was I wrong about that?
It was about Romelu Lukaku.
Sorry.
It's true. By the way, it's true. It is about Big Rom. But this is about Tyler, who has played a grand total of 121 minutes for Bournemouth last season. That's not a clapping thing. That's a sad thing. Can we make a sad noise? What? Yeah, I mean, that's a sad noise, right? Because he's our hero, and our hero was hamstrung. I mean, the reality is, it has been an agony for this human being. He's the most competitive person I know. Like, even when, I mean, it's like the Monty Python knight with one leg being like, I'm fine, it's just a flesh wound. And it's with the national team where they've kind of, I'd say, cautiously eased him back into the field, but it really means playing him in a way Bournemouth wouldn't. And I just asked him on episode 2 of our show, The Captain, which we have on our network, presented by Allstate. I asked him, I was like, are you going to ease it in? Are you going to, like, you worried about your everything? And he goes, yep, my plan is to go 90, 90, 90, 90, 90. And I did my math very slowly because I have to use my fingers. And I think it means he thinks he's going to be playing in the final, which I just love. Like, he was answering one question, how fit are you? We've been like, yeah, shit, we're going to win this thing. He is such a tempo setter for this team, the intensity, the grit, what he demands of other footballers. You played with them, Herc. I mean, you know, like, he's the human being that goes on that field and is like, I'm not going to take that. You all need to give me that. And we're going to need him as the heart of the team, not just tactically, but emotionally.
Since he was like 15. I remember playing him in preseason when I was in Toronto. There's a little 15-year-old kid, teenager, running around in the center of the midfield, hacks me from behind. I turn around, says to them, he says, shut the fuck up. I'm like, what? Little kid, but that's who he is. He holds people accountable. He's got character. He's got that strength. He is the leader of this team. I will remind you, the youngest captain in the World Cup in Qatar. We all saw what, it's very admirable. He is that guy.
God, I love that man. But the US played Bolivia, Panama, Uruguay, and group play. And I've spoken to a lot of players this week. And honestly, they're all focused on trying to deliver a statement win for this program, meaning I believe that they want to get out the group. We all want to get out the group. We want to win a knockout game against a true power. That's ultimately what we care about right now. And it's just something, if we're being honest, this is astonishing. It's not something we've done many times in our nation's history. You know, we put human beings on the moon. We've, like, created In-N-Out Burger. But since 1950, when we shocked England 1-0, the only team we've beaten in World Cup knockout football is bloody Mexico. You know, we watch teams, Morocco do it, Iceland do it, Wales do it in big tournaments. Serious question for you both. Why can't we do it? I believe we feel lesser in big moments in a way we shouldn't do. And I'd love to know how we shuck this sense of inferiority, how we exercise it.
I think one element of it is, even though we are not a footballing power, you know how, like, the Bulls, when the Jordan Bulls were like, oh, the thing, not only did they win 70 games, but also every team gave them their best every single night. We get played against as though we are a power because, like, fucking beat the United States. Wouldn't that be fucking great? You know, and so we get everyone's best game, even though we can't necessarily handle it. That's not the main reason, but I do think it's part of the calculus of it.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, times have changed, right? I don't think you've ever had a player pool this confident in that they can go toe-to-toe with any team in the world. And they'll tell you that, you know, whether it's the first guy on the call sheet or the last guy on the team in that roster. They feel they can do it. And sure, it's not been done too many times, but it has been done. 2002, they beat Portugal, the opening game, you know. And then you can go on to 2009. The U.S. men's national team ended Spain's 35-game unbeaten run. That Spanish team that had 2 European championships and a World Cup championship sandwiched in between that. You know, you can go to 2010, Landon Donovan's goal against Algeria, winning the group, sending England home. You know, you can go to 2014, Jurgen, that class. I mean, they beat Mexico in Azteca. They beat Italy, Belgium, the Dutch. Sorry about that. In Europe.
It's fine.
You know?
It's fine. It's fine.
It's been done before. You just need to be more consistent. But if there's a group that can do it, that has the mentality, it's these guys.
God, I love Hercules Gomez. I mean, ultimately, so much rests on the shoulders of one man. In this tournament, it's our manager, Greg Berhalter. That was a signal to just let me keep going and not make that noise. I just want to make this quick point that both England and the United States, both riding on the tactical prowess of a pair of Crystal Palace legends. I don't know what this means.
Why does he look like Jimmy Conrad?
They both
Also, why did no one tell Gareth they're taking a picture now?
He does look surprised.
I'm ready. It's done, Gareth. It's done. Off you go.
Gareth was poised at number 1 when the 3, 2. Oh, shit. By the way, Greg looks fantastic. You would, though, wouldn't you?
How do you get such a tan in Croydon? I mean, that's amazing. Well done.
That man on the right has just posted a 7% win percentage against teams in the top 20 of the FIFA World Rankings, not named Mexico. And I'm asking this to hear you both. I mean, I know Brendan, I know you as one of the most loyal and optimistic. You lift my spirits when I speak to you about what's possible, to be candid. Herc, you are Herc. What are the stakes, what are the opportunities in this tournament for Greg Berhalter? Because we're at a very serious decision point.
Well, I'm of the ilk that whoever is the manager of my national team, I'm going to support the fuck out of that guy. But every national team manager has to, of course, prove their mettle with results. And as I said earlier, like this is the proving bar. If this goes badly, then there's probably going to be some conversations. But I sure as hell hope it goes well. Because I think people are also still living in a fantasy land of like, we're all kind of like, not all, many fans of U.S. soccer right now are kind of like 7-year-olds getting in trouble with their dad for the first time. Like, you're not our national coach! You're not my dad! My dad is Jurgen Klopp! Like, that's not necessarily happening. And so, yeah, I'm for getting behind them, but of course, if results don't happen, you're in trouble. That's football.
Brendan, you last saw your dad at a casino in Rostock.
Cost him some money, too.
He held me tenderly. Sorry, go on. Sorry.
I agree with what you're saying. You should support the U.S. men's national team, and that means supporting Greg Berhalter as well. You should also hold them accountable, right? Never in the history of the U.S. men's national team, this program, have you had such a talented generation. I mean, we're talking about these aren't kids anymore. These are players with World Cup experience that played top 5 leagues in the world. Some of these players play in Champions League and have won Champions League. There should be expectations of this group because on paper, they can do it. But they've not, here's the thing, they've not done anything that a prior generation hasn't done. So you're expecting big things out of them and Greg Berhalter. So it's about accountability, but certainly the ceiling is there.
By the way, by this standard, what prior generations have done. In 1930 America, we got into the World Cup semi-final.
That's right.
We don't talk about that enough, and it really annoys me. But the thing that's fascinating for me is in the Premier League, teams know, you hear it all the time, like Peter Drury says it, so it must be true. But teams know that when a manager loses the fans, they're on very thin ice. Those like Chelsea fans cheering against their manager, which will probably happen on week 1 of next season. But the curious thing is, Greg has not had the majority of fans behind him since he was rehired. And I'll say this, there's something about the United States which always befuddles me. I love this team. I want them to win as we know they can win. I want them to soar as we know they can soar. But the football we play, international football, is, compared to club football, it's slower. It's more pragmatic. It's a game of moments over tactics. Harry Maguire, for God's sake, is very good at international football. But the way we talk about ourselves in international, the naive tactics we try and play, it's almost as if we feel we need to because of it. I think we feel an inferiority that I wish we didn't feel at all anymore because we do not need to. But it feels like, as an international team, we don't just have to win. We have to dazzle. We have to play like the Barcelona of Xavi and Iniesta. We have to prove ourselves. By the way, we have to prove ourselves to ourselves, which is crazy because it's hard to win international football anyway. To feel we have to win beautifully is to play a game that no one else is playing. I don't know if you guys agree in any way, shape, or form, but I'm like, just play. When we play best when we play England, pragmatically. When we play Brazil, pragmatically. I love that crap.
You're right. I mean, look at one of the most successful teams in the world right now, France. 2016, Euros final, 2018, World Cup champions. 2020 was it Nations League, champions. 2022 to the final, lost in penalties versus Argentina. That's one of the worst styles of play that you can ever watch. And they're constantly there. They're constantly winning. It's transition football. It's pragmatic, but they win. Somewhere along the lines, we get lost, and this is Pep Guardiola's fault, because what he's done with City, what he's done with Barcelona, you think he can replicate it, you think he can make it look good at the international level. I happen to agree with you. It's a very pragmatic game. It's a young man's game. It's a transitional game. But it's nice when they take it to Mexico. It's nice when they play through Brazil. It's nice to see that the American players now also have the technical and tactical ability to try to go head-to-head with some of these teams.
By the way, France even win when opposing fans break baguettes in front of their faces before the games.
I think you're spot on too. Like, we're kind of best when we're pragmatic, and I think that was the difference between the Colombia game and the Brazil game. And there was still some playing through, but it was definitely a tighter ship, as though they had met in the locker room before the Brazil game and said, guys, everyone on that team plays in a top 5 league in Europe.
Top four.
Top four. Hold on. Oh, God, guys, it's top 3. It's top 3, guys. Tighten it up.
Hendrick's just gone to Real Madrid, guys. It's top 3. Yeah, we got to tighten up. That's up to what it is.
Yeah.
I don't mind them playing ugly and doing great.
No, we don't have the burden the way the Dutch do of an illustrious footballing history, which would be nice to have, but is also kind of a burden. Like the Dutch hated the 2010 World Cup team that made it all the World Cup final because they were kind of a blunt instrument, and the Dutch, in the Cruyff tradition, feel like they should be playing beautifully all the time. We don't have that. We mercifully can just fucking win. It does not matter how. Let's do it by grit. Let's do it by guile. Let's do it by fucking American spit and vinegar. Spit and vinegar. Nah, I didn't stick the landing. God damn it. Young man, this is not how it's supposed to go. I apologize.
He knows that. He writes all the jokes. The honest truth, what he's essentially saying is not every team can be like the Columbus Crew.
Look at Morocco this last World Cup. Morocco hung 10 guys from the crossbar and would transition. They would literally not be going out of their own 18, and they made it all the way to the semifinal. It was beautiful.
It's Colorado Rapids football, baby. I don't know how you say that in Moroccan, but the thing that annoys me about this is it is such a key time. You hit this earlier, Brenny. This is not just another tournament. This is the biggest opportunity to make noise, to endear ourselves to the widest possible audience of Americans. Look, if you're here tonight, if you're listening to this at home, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're already in. But we know really what we're yearning for is for this sport as a whole to get bigger, to engage a wider audience, to pull in that soccer-curious American audience. This tournament is going to be, this tournament will fill out for a Common Bowl. They know there's enough, whatever. It's like Colombian Americans, they will get 60,000 in an NFL stadium. Brazilian, they know they can fill this thing. What we're really interested in is human beings who are watching the Florida Panthers tonight to make them be like, Anthony Robinson. Now that's something. That's ultimately the stakes for what we're doing.
Apparently, he's a real Jedi.
Yeah, apparently, it's objectively true. He's a real Jedi. But what I'm shocked by how little noise this tournament's making culturally right now. The players want to be household names. They want to go deep. They can really help our sport, our nation's understanding of it, themselves, ahead of the World Cup. So prediction time. How far can our boys go? How far will our boys go in the Copa to come? First, Herc.
Yeah, I agree with what Brendan said about the signature win, right? The big win. And maybe it's to themselves. You hear these guys talk, and I don't think they care what other people think, but I think they want to prove something to themselves. And if you look at the strength of schedule for these players, for this team, the U.S. men's national team, you're going to get the weakest opponent, not only of the group, but maybe of Copa America and Bolivia first. Panama, a team that you know very well and can beat, to then manage a result. You don't even have to beat Uruguay to come in first place in the group. Maybe you do beat Uruguay, maybe you don't. And the crossover will be key because it's Colombia or Brazil. And I kind of feel like Brazil's a better matchup. And after what I saw that they did to Brazil, I feel very good about a one-off game for a semifinal appearance. I'll take that.
Well, you know me, Raj. I'm an optimist. I think they can win it twice this month. Realistically, getting. I mean, obviously beating Argentina is its own thing. That would only happen in the final. But getting past Colombia is its own thing. But oh my gosh, if we were to play Brazil and beat Brazil, that would go a long way toward getting a lot of eyes on board. Because that, I mean, remember that England game was a great performance and a gritty battle, but it was still a 0-0 with an incredible amount of American eyes watching on the day after Thanksgiving. Like if it had been 1-0, that would have been a big springboard. To beat Brazil would be as close to a springboard as we can get between now. So hopefully that chance happens.
But when you said that England game, I thought you meant 1950 when we beat them 1-0.
Oh yeah.
And by the way,
I had that on Fubu.
Damn you.
So to say real quick, like you know, as Herc very correctly mentioned, like the big one is the Uruguay game. Even if it's kind of a dead rubber at that point, it'll be big for placement. But America, all of you out there who are living in cities where these matches are going to be played, get up. Dallas, get up for the Bolivia game. Atlanta, get up for the Panama game. I know it's Panama again. Doesn't matter. Get up for it. And by God, Kansas City, you beautiful Lasso original football city, get up for the Uruguay game. Get there. July 1st, Arrowhead. Do it.
God bless. We should just end the show now, to be candid. I just wanted to tell you, when we did beat England 1-0 in 1950, there was it's a great story, this. There was one journalist who met them at the airport when they arrived back. His name was, do you remember?
Dent McSkimming.
Dent McSkimming. By the way, in England, we don't have people called Dent McSkimming, like the most American. And Dent McSkimming wrote for the St. Louis Dispatch, I think it was, "This is all we need to make this game go in America now." Which I love. By the way, when the game finally does go, I'm going to be like, Dent, you were right. 83 years later, we did it for McSkimming. But like so many American fans, McSkimmings, let's call ourselves McSkimmings, shall we? There's an incredible delta. There really is between like a gulf between our emotions, what we want, and our rational reality. And I dream of glory. I really do. I genuinely dream. I had a dream last night of Chris Richards just like locking down the back. It was magnificent. Tyler Bangers, Pulisic talking trash while he scores on them. You don't know where I'm from, dog. But if they face Colombia or Brazil, I mean, right now, we know rationally, we feel light years away from them. There's nothing I want more in my sporting life than for us to win this. But it feels like miracle territory, I'm not going to lie. With the talent we have, it shouldn't. It really should not. So let's end on a positive note about the American team. We're going to quickly talk about the others. But if you were to identify one factor that gives you both hope for this American journey, what would it be?
The players. I've never seen a group of players that are so blindly optimistic, so blindly just set in their ways, confident, the mentality, where they play, how they exude themselves. This is the best player pool we've ever had. All they need to do now is prove it.
Better than 2007?
No.
It was a head nod that did me.
I guess what gives me the most encouragement is all these South American nations coming up here and discovering Bojangles and In-N-Out for the first time.
It's addicting.
You know?
Yeah.
Oh, Vinicius is a little slow up and down that headline today. Oh. That's all we've got. Animal style. That's what we've got. Animal fucking style.
By the way, I had Steven Gerrard on my show when he got to LA Galaxy. And I wanted to talk to him about like football. He was just like, hey, I don't animal style. What is that? He was like so confused. John Oliver heard the interview with Stephen Gerrard afterwards, and he was like, he essentially just said to you for an hour, like, sushi, what is that? They eat raw fish. And I realised how hard it is for these great footballers to settle in our nation. But I do love you. Wait till they encounter Waffle House at 2 a.m. on the night before the final when they're going to play the United States. And the Colombians with their then 29-game unbeaten streak are like, do we want it smothered or covered? I don't know. Yes, that's what's going to do them. But it is. We have so many talented players. We really, really do. But there's so many incredible teams in this tournament. I want to talk about them quickly before we pull it back to the United States to close. Let's talk about our CONCACAF cousins quickly. Canada first. Brendan Hunt. They're in a tough group. Argentina, Peru, Chile. It's been a month since Jesse Marsh went all little finger and went up north to become Canada's manager. I love that man. And he's overseeing some phenomenal talent. Alphonso Davies, Jonathan David, Tajan Buchanan. I spoke to him on the show we dropped this week about how he's going to attempt to stop Messi in the opening game tomorrow bloody night. I've got to say, it's so crazy to me to see this Wisconsinner who almost became US manager now wearing the maple leaf on his jersey. What do you make of it, Brendan? Is it just that Wisconsin's basically part of Canada anyway? Is that what it is? Because I'm open to that. But or is it more deep-seated? Because my friend John Oliver often says, he says, spite is the rocket fuel of human motivation. How do you understand it?
Well, the flip side of that is I'm very nervous about anyone who turns a grudge into a life choice. And I think that is the thin ice upon which Mr. Marsh is skating right now. And like, I love Jesse Marsh. He's a hoot. I mean, Chicago Fire legend. I mean, I never saw a Chicago Fire game in Chicago in my life, but I'm from Chicago, so that counts for something.
Shaqiri!
But this seems like a thing where a guy has sort of underestimated the potential backlash. Like it feels like almost no win for him for any game against the U.S. coming up. Having said that, any Canada-U.S. game coming up is going to be very fucking interesting.
I'm kind of optimistic with Canada. I don't know why.
I hope so.
Argentina's going to take Group A. It's Argentina. We'll get into Argentina. They're one of the tournament favorites. But Peru's the worst team in Commonwealth qualifying right now. They're the absolute worst team probably in the Americas in this tournament. Chile is a team that's in transition. Gareca, their new coach, still a few players long in the tooth, trying to change things. It's a one-off versus them. I could see them surprising, and then the group that they face would be Mexico, Venezuela, Ecuador's good. You never know. I'm kind of bullish on them. I don't mind this Canadian team. They got some talented players.
Can I just say, the best thing that can happen to the United States if Canada become a real threat and truly challenge us. So also, what's the actor, the Kenny Powers going?
McBride.
Yeah, Brian McBride. Brian McBride. Brian McBride's brother, Danny McBride.
I thought you said, what's the accent he's got? I was like,
No,
American?
I can't wait. I can't wait for the Danny McBride HBO series where he recreates the Jesse Marsh, Greg Berhalter feud in like deeply comic style. I think it's great, and I hope he does unbelievably well, because the honest truth is, if there's one thing we know about the United States, we need more challenges in CONCACAF. Is the reality. So I wish Jesse Marsh Godspeed with those boys. Herc, Mexico. They play a relatively exposed Jamaica without some of their top talent holding off in a way which makes Jamaica look quite CONCACAF-y. Venezuela, Ecuador, UK. Let me say it, Venezuela.
Yeah.
God bless. I just
Salomon
love
Rondon.
one human being make the noise of 100, and I've got a lot of time for that. Ecuador. You came on our show last week. You talked about how there's been a culling of some of the old big names: Irving Lozano, Meme Ochoa, other sacred cows. Mexico have loved the Copa. They finished second in 2001, semi-finalists 3 other times. For Mexican fans, what would have to come together for them to dream with perfect alchemy for them to go deep again in this tournament?
Miracle. It's not a good situation for Mexico at the moment. It's a generational shift, if you will, more like a cleaning house of some of the big names. This isn't their best pool that they've had. It's one of the weaker pools they probably have ever had. Not enough players in Europe. The players that domestically are there don't really play much in Liga MX. A very young coach, inexperienced coach that has a lot to prove, and in a very difficult group. Like, that could be my group of death. Ecuador is a very good team. They started with negative points in this World Cup qualifying. They're 5th place right now, could easily be in 4th. A lot of good young players. You look at a team like Venezuela, Salomon Rondon, we've already spoken about that guy. He's a monster. They got a good generation. And Jamaica?
Nobody plays for Everton.
Like, I don't know what to expect of Jamaica. He had his moments in Newcastle and West Brom.
Saved his goals for other teams. Go on.
But I don't know what to make of Jamaica. Jamaica's an enigma. Jamaica's a team on paper that you'd say, like, look at the talent level. Look at the players. Damari Gray, Mikel Antonio, Leon Bailey when he gets his flight sorted in first class and he comes over. You know, they've got a good team. I think Mexico's in trouble. I think they might get grouped.
Grouped. By the way, anyone that's listened to Herc's previews, he taught me the word group, which means to get cold in the group. I have not slept, by the way. It's like watching an Eli Roth movie, hearing you talk about the prospect of the United States getting grouped, and I can't stand it. By the way, if I owned an MLS team, the great Icelandic manager Jaime Halmagrasson is now the Jamaican manager. He's a friend of mine. I find it crazy that he's with Jamaica. I would hire Jaime if I ran an MLS team in a heartbeat, and I adore that man, mostly because my teeth need a cleaning. But we have to talk about Lionel Messi very quickly.
Booing Messi.
Oh my God.
The moment America became a footballing nation.
That's right.
What is this crap? Can I just bring some news to you? Lionel Messi has signed for MLS. I don't know if you know this stuff. It's one of ours now. He rides with us. And he's had this incredible story in our nation. He came here for the 2016 Copa. He missed a decisive penalty in a shootout. He cried. He cried as he left the field. He retired. No more! No more! As he left. And then he came back and became the foremost Florida man. He reinvented jorts. Look at him. Look at him. Does he look like a man that's retired? He looks like a man that's saying, I will eat shit pizza and you will love it. I mean, he's hanging out with Sir David Beckham. He's having the time of his life. 12 goals in 12 MLS games for Inter Miami this season. He's going to turn 37 in this tournament. As a defending World Cup champion, as a defending Copa champion. Right. So, gents, what life lesson do you take from him other than just never retire?
Golly, I guess, you know, when you're 10, get that spine operation.
Get the hormone injection.
Get that spine operation. Get those hormones in you. You know, move from 4'11" to 5'1", and then the world's your oyster.
That's right. That's right.
You make success sound so easy.
He makes it look easy. Look, he's 37 years old. You could say what you want about Major League Soccer, but it's a physically capable league. There are some good players physically there. He's making some of these players look like rag dolls, and it doesn't matter where he is, whether it's club or national team. He's been doing this to the elite for years. I'm amazed that we get to see it.
So I guess we're headed towards the big question. You've just nailed Messi, what he's doing. We're going to see, we're going to see Vinicius Jr., the Ballon d'Or award on our turf. We're going to see 17-year-old sensation Endrick. We're going to see Darwin Nunez, the god of Uruguayan chaos. We're going to see Marcel Bielsa squat on a bucket on our NFL stadium. We're going to see ad-lib shithousery here in America. So what are our predictions from each of you? The final, July 14th in Miami. There's a clue in that town's name. The city that Lionel Messi built. Gents, who's going to win it all?
It's hard to look past Argentina. I mean, especially with the final being in Miami at the Dolphin Stadium, the Hard Rock. It's hard to see past that.
I mean, I think we're going to witness history. When Messi plays a game, he's going to be the all-time leading appearance player in Copa America history, such a rich history. He's got 13 goals right now. He's 4 goals away from being the tournament's all-time leading goal scorer. We're talking about a team, and we spoke about France. They always make finals. These guys have made 5 out of the last 7 finals they've played in tournaments. 4 Copa America, 3 World Cups, coming off a Copa America win and a World Cup win in his hometown. It's almost like they did this on purpose. What?
But-
What? Oh, you didn't like
I
that
mean,
one?
What do you
Luckily,
say?
CONMEBOL is a pure and innocent organization
Guys,
who would
this is
never stoop to
bullshit.
such things.
This is bullshit.
That was the one that broke you guys?
I was telling you, when Saudi Arabia get into the final of the next World Cup, they've earned their place there. They've done the hard miles. They've footballed their way into all of this crap. But why am I saying this? Here's the reality. These bastards are talking about Argentina. My heart says the United States of America are going to win it.
Heart overhead. Heart overhead.
My heart's having second thoughts. My heart thinks it's going to be a tournament of Colombian wonder. I think Miami is going to be awash with the yellow. And when we've talked about that 23-game winning streak, they are in the toughest of groups: Brazil, Paraguay, Costa Rica. I'm just here for the Luis Diaz's dad dancing videos. But I want to talk about more positive things. I want you both to close your eyes with me, all of you here. Let's dream together. I mean, that's ultimately why we're here tonight, why we're excited, why we've lived these months, these years. I mean, we were awarded hosting rights to the World Cup almost exactly 6 years ago, June 13th, 2018. That's when the $500 million of gold that we banked up to FIFA's headquarters was really worth a lot more than that.
Untraceable gold. No
I
serial
know,
numbers.
I know. Thank you.
Not U.S. servers.
This actually happened. 6 years we've yearned, we've longed, we've lusted, we've pined, we've talked, we've dreamed about where we could be as a footballing nation by 2026. So eyes closed, tell me your dreams, gents. 2 years, 2026, when that World Cup comes here to the United States of America, to Los Angeles. There'll be 8 games here. How will this land at the end of it? Herc first. How will it be truly different at the end of it?
Signature win, semifinal appearance. You're changing the way that the world views American soccer. That would be it.
I have my eyes closed. Am I supposed to go now? Because I'm busy dreaming, Raj. I'm imagining. I am, as you say, lusting. And I see in 2026 a nation that is ready. A nation that knows that its national soccer team, that it doesn't pay that much attention to previously, but does start to by the summer of 2026. And sees that they came off a painful loss in the final to that Lionel Messi they've heard so much about. And now, here they are, the summer of America's 250th birthday, going around the country with narrow, nail-biting victories. Victories they were never supposed to have. Upset after upset. Underdogs like Lake Placid.
Are we going
God damn it.
to beat Georgia and Albania?
We will beat Georgia in Georgia. We will beat Birmingham City in Birmingham. Bring all comers. We will do it. We could just go step by step all the way because we do not know when it will happen, but one day the switch will flip and we will start winning games that we did not know that we could win because it will just fucking happen because it's what we've been doing since 1776. And the important thing is not to say why we can't. The important thing is to motherfucking believe.
Can we all just share that moment?
Prop comedy. I thought we were doing prop comedy.
Was that planned?
No, man. That was just fucking sitting here. Someone left it.
I genuinely just watched us beat Atalanta in Atlanta. It was
It's a good one.
amazing. Skamaka. Chris Richards shuts you down. Joe Skelly will not let you get baseline. I gotta say, I cannot wait to live out our dreams with you two gents. I moved here to this nation just ahead of the 1994 World Cup, which was meant to make America fall in love with the sport overnight. Instead, the growth's been slow and steady and glorious. Men's World Cup to World Cup. The Women's World Cup's doing a lot more, if I'm being candid. There are more American men's players touring Europe than ever before. More major European teams, probably more importantly, being owned by Americans. More big European teams wanting to play live, real games in our stadia. These are dizzying days. They really are for all of us who love the game that we love in this nation. And 2026 will cement it forever. I really believe that. That is, the United States will become a normal footballing nation. That's ultimately what we're talking about. Like the rest of the world, and those of us who've dreamed, honestly, will never take it for granted. I look at that bottle of Camarena that's right in front of you, Herc, and I want to toast this moment, but I want to thank you both, but I want to give you both the last word tonight, both of you. What's your message to American fans ahead of this tournament, the Copa 2024?
Just fucking get up, man. Like, it is... This is the best of the sport that is about to happen, and it's happening here, and it's a very, very rare opportunity. I mean, it happened 8 years ago, and as I recall, we got the shit kicked out of us at the end of it. But besides that, it's quite rare. And we rarely get to see this caliber of talent in this country. And there's, especially if you've not been to a game before, there's not much that's more addicting in football than watching your national team play. So get out there while we can.
If I've learned anything, it's have confidence, because these players do. I remember 1996, set a wave of football in this country, started domestic league, Major League Soccer, the U.S. men's national team, 2002. That all started because of 94. Here we are again, 2026, something special with players who've been there, done that, who believe themselves. I mean, if 1994 spawned pretty much all this, what do we think 2026 can do? So I would say just believe.
Truth.
You two are remarkable human beings. The crowd tonight are such a joyous bunch of human beings to join us in this moment. I do need to ask you this quick one. This is for my benefit. Will the US men win a World Cup in our lifetimes?
Mine, yeah. I don't know about you two.
Absolutely. Old guy zing. Yes, absolutely. I firmly believe that. I believe that for a long time, and it's step by step, and it's incremental. But it's just, as an article I read in the Guardian a long time ago said about the U.S.'s chances. Eventually, you have to surrender to the brute force of demographics, and we've got an awful lot of people here, hundreds of millions, and I'm pretty sure one of these years we're going to find 11.
By the way, if we're in a movie when Herc made that joke about I'll live to see it, but you guys won't, we cut to the next scene, my body lowered into the ground with the 1990 World Cup song being slowly played. And just know I'll be in that coffin being like, fuck, I'm going to miss them. I'm going to miss Cavan Sullivan lifting that trophy in the air. That's right. I'll never see it.
A 40-year-old Kevin Sullivan in his 5th World Cup finally hoists the trophy.
We're making the jokes about Cavan Sullivan that we do for Tim Ream right now, which is just mind-blowing. And I do believe it will happen, to be candid. We have so much talent. We have so much wonder. I do believe it will happen. I know you all think it will, or you would not be here. Let's keep believing. Because ultimately, like Scottish fans, we all know doom is inevitable, but it's about the memories we make along the way to that doom. It's about being in a casino in Rostock and Bruce Arena saying,
Oy vey.
You took my
7.
Two very quick ones before we leave. I want to say to all of you who are here tonight, come and have a pint with me at Molly Malone's, 575 South Fairfax Avenue. I don't know why I'm reading you the zip code. It's 90036, which would have been a terrible sequel to a television show, but I love it still. Come and have a pint with me, because I love all of you for being with us, especially you, who I know can get into any pub that you need to, age 11. Just show them Freddie Adu's ID. We'll get you in. But come and raise a glass with us, because I adore each of you, and it's so incredible to make these memories in this moment. And to those listening at home, we'll be in Kansas City the night before the United States play and beat Uruguay. At the Madrid Theatre, if we don't beat Uruguay, you get your money back. I don't know if that's legal. Tickets available now on our website and social. Atlanta, we're coming to you next week. Charlotte, July 9th. For more, go to our website. Come and raise a glass with us. Let's make memories together. That's ultimately what's bloody important about all of this on the Copa journey. And Los Angeles, I just want to say thank you. It's an incredible honor to savor this moment. We'll never have this moment again the night before Copa 2024. We'll never be able to share it with these two incredible gents.
Because I'll be dead, according to Herc.
I mean, Los Angeles, can I just say, can you please be upstanding for the mighty Hercules Gomez?
Thank you. Thank you so much, guys.
For my incredible friend, Mr. Brendan Hunt. And the biggest cheer of the night for topless John Harkes on the beach in Malibu. And as ever, let's just raise a glass to the dream of winning the 2026 on World Cup home turf. Go, go, USA. God bless. Come and have a pint with us. Thank you very much. Big love.
Hey, can we get one for Raj? How about Raj? Can we get one for
Roger
Raj?
Bennett, ladies and gentlemen. Roger Bennett.